Hey everyone. So here I am making a recording of shame, walk of shame, similar to that, but it's a recording of shame, video of shame. I guess shame isn't the right word, but I do think some shame is proper. But I relapsed. So my new sobriety date is big surprise. I relapsed, right? I mean, y'all saw the last video of all the terrible shit that happens in my life, and then I'll get a short amount of sobriety time, then I'll just go back to drinking. So I kind of want to explain kind of what happened. My new sobriety date, my day of my last drink is August 7th, 2024. I don't really have any kind of format for this video. Usually I like type up an outline. It's all formal, or not usually, but for the past few videos I made. But I'm just kind of speak from the heart in this one, straight off the dome, as you might say. So yeah, I had 5 weeks of sobriety. Before that, I had 2 months. Before that, it was like a week, and then before that, it was like 3 months. Um, but I noticed myself getting into the same pattern and having the same thought patterns and the same thinking. If I have the same thinking and the same belief system, I'm going to keep going back to drinking. Now, granted, since I broke my leg last year, it's been almost a year, there has been a change in me. I have not gone back on the fact that I'm an alcoholic and can't drink. It used to be when I relapsed, I would be like, I'm not an alcoholic, I can drink. At least now, when I go to drink, I know I shouldn't be. Like, I know I'm an alcoholic as I'm doing it, and I definitely know I am after the bender is over with. But I think a lot of it has to do with me, just not really finding a spiritual solution. Again, granted, I've made strides in my spirituality and my quest for, you know, um, understanding of myself, what makes me me, what makes a human, and what God is and what is my relationship to that entity, to that power. I think I've made a lot of progress on it. I've been happier since since I broke my leg, since I've had all this time of sobriety without being in divergent court. Like I really am over the past year since I broke my leg. Been in a better headspace overall. Been more sober overall. Been more productive. Just been more in love with myself, in love with life more. But still, my disease thinking comes in, and eventually the thought of a drink gets in my head, and I just can't get it out until I exercise it by indulging in it. Um, so like the last few relapses. So there's some mixed elements to this. I won't talk about my last relapses, but obviously life happens, and sometimes I get into a heightened emotional state, and um, my animal mind, my subconscious mind, just goes into fight or flight mode. It's a survival mode. It wants instant gratification. It wants to be not how it is. It wants to not be freaking out. So it goes towards alcohol. So there's that kind of a relapse, which happens when something bad happens. Someone dies, financial upset, a crisis or whatever, and your brain just goes into fight or flight mode. And if you can't calm yourself down during that until it passes, at least for me, then I go to a drink for instant gratification because it's just my brain's just wired to do that when something crazy happens. I've gotten better at not indulging during those times, but I feel like the last few relapses, it's kind of been on the opposite spectrum. It's like I'm doing everything right on paper. I was meditating, I was working on professional pursuits. I had a relationship. I was working out. I was praying, not praying as much as I am now, but um, I was really trying to take control of my life. And it was working to some degree. But that's the problem there is I was trying to take complete control. I was trying to do everything on paper so that I would have the exact life that I want. I can control my circumstances completely. I'm on a direct path to get exactly what I want when I want it. And it was too heady. It was too much control. So I was doing everything right on paper. Most of my days I'd work. I was working. I was saving money. I was working on my website. I just got my website finished. The link should be in the description, by the way. Things I should feel good about. I was making some progress in my writing. Basically, I was making progress in all the things I should make progress on, but I was really being hard on myself. Like, if I don't work a full amount every day, if I don't get this much stuff done every day, it's like at the end of my day, I just feel empty. I'm like, I didn't get enough done. I'm not enough for all these goals and pursuits that I have. I could work all day, get home, do another hour or two of work. I don't have to do just extra stuff. Whether I'm teaching myself coding, building my website, doing my writing, making YouTube. I always felt like I wasn't enough at the end of the day. Maybe because I'm just trying to do too much. Maybe because I expect too much of myself. But I could have a really good productive day and still not feel great at the end of the day. And so I had a few days where we were in a drought. We didn't have much work, and I was still staying pretty productive. But like I wasn't like laser focused. Like, every hour of the day was like being productive and being on point. I just had a couple days where I knew, I was like, it's okay to relax. Like in my head's like, I don't have to be super productive all the time. But there's that part of my mind that was just like, oh, you're not good enough. You haven't been killing it. You've had all this time off work, and yeah, you've gotten some work done. On this other stuff these other professional pursuits like coding and whatnot. You've gotten some work done. You made a YouTube video, but it's not enough. You're not doing enough. And so I was doing everything right on paper for sobriety. I was going to meetings. Didn't have a sponsor yet. Still don't. I know that's a problem, but during one of these days, I was just kind of feeling empty. I was just like, I'm doing everything right. Why am I not feeling spiritual? Why do I feel like why do I feel like I don't have direction? Why do I feel like I'm just alone and amidst a bunch of chaos, and I just do random acts of productivity, and maybe something will line up, or maybe I'm just wasting my time. Maybe my whole life's a waste. Maybe there's no purpose. All this heady bullshit, and so I just felt empty, and then that led to the thought of a drink, and then there's justification. No one will find out. It'll just be one night. All those lies that an alcoholic will tell himself. And so I walked up there. I was asking God for a sign. I was like, please help me not drink. Show me anything. And I'll be damned, I go into Kroger, and there's someone from AA standing across from the beer aisle, like looking through something else. And that was my sign, and I ignored it. I went to the liquor store across the street, Kroger Wine and Spirits. But even when I was standing outside the liquor store, this is the difference from the past year. I would contemplating, please don't go in there. Don't go in there and do it. Just walk away. And I actually started walking away. I made it 100 feet from the liquor store. And then, God, something just pulls me back. It's like the beer's in my hand. I'm trying not to drink it, but it's just, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it. People say it's just willpower. Maybe it is. Maybe my willpower just fucking sucks. I don't know what to say. So yeah, I went through a whole another week-long binge. I'm going to make another video about it. I went to a detox center. I'm going to make a whole another video about what happened in there. I've kind of surrendered a little more since this all happened. Surrendered my plan. Again, I'll talk more about it in the next video. Just wanted to make an update video. I relapsed. New sobriety date is August 7th, 2024. We're trying this again for the 100th time. I've had 1 million second chances. But yeah, I got to do something different. My thinking has got to change. My whole life, or at least this past year, it's so I've come to the understanding that there is a power that's running through me and all of us. And I believe that God can do anything through us. He can't do anything for us, but he can do things through us, if we have dreams. Anyways, we'll get more into this deep stuff later, but I was taking too much of the weight. I was like, I have to do everything perfectly. I have to plan out my life to a T, and just be super organized and productive and perfectionism, basically. And I'm just kind of taking a step back since this last relapse and look, I'm not making any plans. I'm going to work on this here and there, make this video here, kind of be productive where I can, but I'm going to stop being such a big critic of myself. And I'm going to try to focus on things that don't have to do with me. I was just, one of the biggest problems was I was just self-absorbed. It was me, my plans, my dreams. How come I'm not feeling right? How come, it was just so self-absorbed and selfish. And that is the root of our disease, as it says in the AA big book. I wasn't focusing on what's important, which is not me. I'm not the center of the universe. Wasn't focusing on, I need to focus more on love, selflessness, service to others, family, just staying sober, not causing, my number one thing has to be staying sober, and I always knew in the past year that I can't drink, but it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I had all this other shit, all my other plans and goals at the forefront of my mind instead of staying sober. So now, going forward with a new mindset, it's not all about me. I'm not going to be thinking about me all the time and my selfish plans. I just need to stay sober, at least for the next year, get my head out of the game and get my heart into the game, just focus on maybe serving others, being there for my family, not being a menace to my family, staying sober for them. So next year, I'm just really going to focus on not myself, staying sober, and not causing any more harm to anyone or myself. We'll talk more about this in depth. I'm in the process of writing an article, essay, whatever you want to call it, and putting it on my website. So I'll have a video to go with that writing. I started writing it in the detox center on basically step 3 in AA, the power paradox. How can you give up your will to a greater power and then still have your will? It's weird. So the main problem was I'm trying to silence my head, my thoughts. We all have a dualistic nature within us. We live in a dualistic universe, positive and negative. So we have the masculine head, logical thinking, linear thinking. Then we have the heart, which is more feeling and receiving. And my head has been taking over way too much. I'm trying to enjoy things with my head instead of my heart. I'm living with my head instead of my heart. So I need to kind of receive, life, just the life experience as a whole more, and just live in the moment. So that's where God is. It's here and now, always. So I'm trying to silence this, my head, my plans, my thinking, what I think about anything, really. I'm just trying to silence this and open up my heart more, to receive more, to start living instead of living in my head. So that's pretty much the gist of it. So yeah, look out for the next video. It's going to be, hopefully, on what I went through in more detail in the detox center. It wasn't a fun time, but I think there was a spiritual effect there. I'm going to write about it. And my blog site is now you'll find a link to it in the description. It's just a GitHub site. I don't know if you'd call it a blog site. It's just a place where I'm posting my writings. I wrote it all from source code, so I'm trying to learn HTML and stuff too. But that's all I got. Thanks for tuning in, and pray for me. Let's see, maybe that'll work. Let's see if I can actually get sobriety down this time. Don't hold your breath, but I'm gonna do my best.